What's up, guys? Today we have rumor Man of Steel 2 aiming for 2020 release. Warner Brothers reportedly wants Man of Steel 2 to hit theaters in 2020. The DC movie universe is only 5 movies deep, but it began back in 2013 with Man of Steel. Directed by Zack Snyder, The Last Son of Krypton was taken in a new direction closer to what Christopher Nolan did with Batman in his Dark Knight trilogy. Henry Cavill has played Superman 2 additional times since he debuted, and despite the first film making $668 million at the worldwide box office, there's yet to be any firm news on a sequel. The lack of movement appears to be on the shoulders of WB, as Cavill's repeatedly said how much he loves playing the character and that he's eager to get a sequel moving. As hopeful as he may be, a potential sequel doesn't have a script, a director, or anything at this point. Revenge of the Fans EIC Mario Francisco Robles dropped a rumor about Man of Steel 2's status in a new episode of El Fanboy podcast. According to his source at Warner Brothers, they want the sequel to hit theaters in 2020. This is just a rumor for the time being, and Robles stresses that himself, so take this with a grain of salt. If this is true, Man of Steel 2 is a much bigger focus for WB than they've let on. Their current slate has Aquaman hitting theaters this December, followed by Shazam and Wonder Woman 2 in April and November of 2019 respectively. There's been more movement recently on Birds of Prey and The Flash, both of which could be ready for a 2020 release themselves. So, if Man of Steel 2 is also being eyed for a release date that year, we could see them quickly jump to 3 films a year. However, there's still plenty of work to be done before Man of Steel 2 can really look ready for 2020. Even if there's no word of a script, that doesn't mean the studio hasn't quietly been developing one. The other option could be that they're waiting for a director to board the project and then shape the script based on what story they want to tell. Matthew Vaughn has been linked to the movie on several occasions, while Christopher McQuarrie says he'd do it if Cavill asked. Robles also noted that Cavill has some say as to who will direct the sequel, which could give McQuarrie the edge since they just worked together on Mission Impossible: Fallout. As of right now, it's simply too early to tell if Man of Steel 2 actually will be ready for a 2020 release. WB reportedly hoping for such a date is one thing, but actually making moves to make it happen is another. If everything does fall into place, then Man of Steel 2 will need to start filming at some point next year to make this possible. Clearly, we'll need to get much more news on the film throughout this year if WB really does want Man of Steel 2 to hit theaters in 2020. Be sure to like and subscribe.